Well, everybody, welcome. I'm Steve McIllvaine. Just a little background on me. I got started in real estate in the beginning of 2014. Prior to that, I was in government contracting and in banking. And as I've shared before, my wife was a stay-at-home mom, still is, and I had a 2-year-old and a newborn. And so in order for me to get started in real estate, I knew that I needed to produce right off the bat. So I started following the models that work. And in short order, I was able to move to NVAR, top producer, 6 million after the first year, 10 million, 9 million. And then this year, the goal is 30 million. And I'm on track for that right now. Okay, so anyway, before I get into how I do the listing presentation, the thing what's most important, it's with anything, it's what you do prior to get prepared, okay? I believe big time in doing a pre-listing consultation. Now, I do it with my assistant does it. So I have a sheet of about 10 to 15 questions, and the questions range from what's your motivation for selling? I really want to know that before I get to the appointment. What are the 3 things that you expect from a realtor? There's a sheet called Win with Sellers, or there's a course called Win with Sellers, and I grabbed the sheet for that, and I use that in the pre-listing consultation. I also want to know, what do they think houses sell for? A great question is asking them, Zillow says that your estimate is 550,000. What do you think of that? And then that way you're finding out from them really quick, what do they think of what their house is worth, and then you're finding out what is really important to them. Okay, so after I go through all that, I say, I actually learned this yesterday. This is an amazing script. Okay, so this is called the listing setup dialogue. Listing a home is a series of steps, and you'll probably have a number of questions along the way. Right now, you might be in a position whereby you are even unsure of the questions to ask. Let's do this. Let's set up a time for me to come over, and you can give me a tour of your home. While I'm there, I'll take notes and measurements and ask questions about the home. That should take about 30 to 45 minutes. After viewing the home, we'll head to the kitchen table. At that time, I'll answer any questions you might have. I'll share with you many sellers select me to represent them in the sale of their home. I'll also share what other homes are selling for in the neighborhood. We'll discuss your home's price range. Then I'll do a net sheet which identifies all the expenses associated with selling a home. This includes not just the real estate commission, but also other expenses like title fee, real estate taxes, prorations, transfer stamps, etc. I want you to know approximately what you'll be putting in your pocket when the transaction closes. This appointment should last 60 to 90 minutes. And again, because I am the agent and the assistant's going through this, Steve is looking forward to meeting with you. Is there anything that we should know about your home before he comes over? And then you ask the questions about the house. The last thing that I do is I deliver a guide to selling your home that I created in Michael Lewis Marketing Suite. My goal is to get to a point where I have a courier that can hand deliver it, but right now I'm doing it by email, or if the appointment is more than 4 days out, mailing it to them. Okay, so now you get to the appointment. It is very important to dress the part. I don't wear a tie all day long in here, but when I do go on a listing appointment, I do. Okay, I wear a tie and I come and you give a very firm handshake. So let me just start. Tim, thanks so much for having me over. I'm really looking forward to talking to you today about getting your home sold. Can I come inside? And what I like to do is just put my bag down over here in the kitchen. Is that okay? All right, so Tim, what we're going to do today is we're going to walk through the whole process. Cheryl the other day talked to you. I understand that your motivation is you want to be in Denver by July. Is that correct? And how important is that to you?
It's extremely important.
Awesome. And why is that?
The kids are about to be done with school, and I need to be in Denver by then.
Okay, great. And on a scale of 1 to 10, your motivation level, where would you put it with 10 being highly motivated? Okay. So if your motivation is an 8, I'm going to match that, and we're going to be able to get your home sold for a price that you're comfortable with, and allow you to be in Denver by the end of the school year. Does that sound like a plan? Okay, great. What I'm going to do now, Tim, is I'm going to walk through this home, and I'm going to walk through the home and look at it from the buyer's point of view. Okay, because you're not going to be with me, or you're not going to be there being able to escort the people through the house, right? No. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to give you this sheet, okay? And what I want you to do is I want you to tell me all of the great features of your home, all of the improvements that you made, okay? I want you to tell me just everything, what makes you so proud about the home. And also there's features about the community, because Tim, I want to make sure that when I list your home that I am featuring the things that matter the most, okay? So why don't you fill this out while I'm walking through. On the back side, there is basically finding out what's really important to you in this transaction. So on a scale of 1 to 10, with what one thing has to happen in this transaction for your experience to be a 10, and then telling me what's important about that. So it'll take me about 5 to 7 minutes to walk through the house. And while that's going on, if you could fill this out for me. Okay. All right. So now, that is so important, because if you have the seller walking through the home with you, it can take 20 to 30 minutes. And this way, I can go through it very fast. Okay. And I know what I need to focus on while I'm walking through it. I have my own walkthrough sheet that I created in Excel, and it talks about the overall condition of the home. It talks about the different rooms. What's the flooring? What's the condition of the flooring? The lighting. Is there a walk-in closet, drapes, blinds, ceiling fan? It's a way of just checking it really fast. And then I can write, okay, there's drywall patching that needs to happen. The window looks to be broken, and I can write all that in here. And so I walk through the house. All right, so I finish that up, and I say, Tim, thanks so much. Your home is absolutely beautiful. I see so much great potential with it. Let me see what you wrote down here as far as what's important to you in the home, in the community. You've got to acknowledge that, okay? If you don't acknowledge the fact that you just asked them to do something, you've betrayed their trust. So I want to say, like, if they talk about whatever they write on there, and you on the front and back, you now want to bring those things up in your presentation. So if they said that they put in new hardwoods, you throw in there, gosh, those are absolutely gorgeous hardwoods. Did you pick them out yourself, or did you have someone come in and design it for you? It's a way of complimenting someone, and then doing it in a way where you're telling them why you're complimenting them, and it just builds that rapport with folks. Okay. All right. So now the back side of that sheet's also really important, because on that they're going to tell you what needs to happen. If they are price conscious, then you're going to focus more on the numbers. If they don't want to be hassled, then you're going to focus on that. You also take into account what was said going into the appointment before you even got there, right? You've done the pre-consultation, and you have a great crib sheet on what's important to them. So now I'm gearing my presentation based off of what was said to Cheryl on the phone and what they just wrote. Does that make sense? Okay. So Tim, my goal for you, as we discussed, is to make this process as hassle-free as possible. I want you to get to Denver as quick as possible, and I want you to get the best price possible. I think that's a good goal for us today, right? What I want to do, Tim, is I want to outline the process that I take all of my sellers through that has achieved some great results for them. I got this mostly from Will Gaskins, okay? So this is it's your personal marketing plan. I pull this out, I lay it in front of them, and now we walk through it together. This is my main presentation. I said, Tim, what we're going to do here is we're going to do a great marketing campaign even before you go on the market, okay? We're going to get your house placed on the multiple listing service. We're going to get you placed on over 200 search engines. I'm going to get a virtual tour put together that I'm going to be able to share with other realtors. We're going to do a Facebook advertising campaign where I'm going to spend money and absolutely promote your house in a targeted way to people that would probably be very interested in this home. There'll be placement on my website. We'll do other things through social media. Do neighborhood marketing. So we will put together a professional just listed postcard that will be mailed out to the surrounding neighborhood. Or I will actually door knock 40 houses and invite the people to the open house and say, who do you know that you would like to have as a neighbor? Okay. We don't believe that you just put a sign, you don't just put a sign in the yard, you place it in the MLS and pray it sells. We do prospecting and we price it right. And these are the 5 Ps that really matter when it comes to really making sure things happen. And Tim, what I have found is that we have actually sold houses or created so much interest in the house before it went on the market that we were able to either sell it above what we were expecting, or we've created such an interest and a buzz that by the first or second day when we were on the market, people were so excited about it and we were able to bid up the price. And it's because of the outreach that we do to get as many people to know about the house as possible. Does that make sense to you? Okay. The other thing that I do, I'm part of 3 or 4 different Facebook groups, and there's well over 8,000 agents in these groups. And there's a couple of them that focus on coming soon listings, okay? This is another way of outreach. I promote your home to all of these realtor groups. I also have a database of people who've sold in your neighborhood, okay? And over a period of time where, especially if they've sold more than 2 or 3 houses, that I will directly reach out to them well before you go on the market and find out if they have an actual buyer. Maybe they had an open house and there was buyers that couldn't buy their house, but now they may have someone who's interested. Now, I don't want to wait, Tim, until we actually go on the MLS. I want to get that done first, okay, early on. Tim, the next thing that I do is marketing on site. Now, I'm sure you've gone in a lot of open houses and you see maybe a listing, maybe the MLS listing sheet, maybe there's a brochure, maybe there's nothing. Have you seen that before? You're going to have 4 pieces of information that's going to be there for the prospective buyer. The first one is the MLS sheet, which gives a detailed account of the home, the features. The second thing is a finance sheet. I work with my lender. My lender will put together a finance sheet, and we'll pull together the HOAs, the taxes, and we're going to give the buyer 3 or 4 different financing scenarios so they know exactly how much that house is going to cost them. So if they love the house, they know exactly what they're going to pay for it, and they're not guessing. And it makes it very easy for a buyer to make a buying decision if they're walking through the house and saying, $2,700, we can do that, okay? The third thing is, I call this my secret weapon, okay? This is called the Dear Seller letter, or no, Dear Buyer letter, okay? There are certain things that I'm allowed to say to the other side, and there are some things that I can't say, but you are allowed to. And this is an opportunity for you to write a 2 to 3 paragraph description of why you love the home, because every buyer wants to know why you're moving, okay? And there's 2 paragraphs that you fill out. You've actually started it today by taking the 10 features of your home and the 10 features of your community, okay? And that will be a nice letter that we put, and it's number 3 in the house. The fourth thing is a really nice full color back in front. If it's a single family home, it's an 8.5 by 11 brochure. If it's a townhouse or a condo, it's a back and front flyer. There's just generally not enough information for a townhouse to have a 4-page flyer. So anyway, so those 4 things are going to be in there. Tim, can you see how having that type of information available to the buyer can cause your home to stand out among the competition? And that's pretty important, isn't it? To make sure that your home is the one that's selected. Okay, so that's the on-site marketing. The whole time, Tim, I'm going to be getting phone calls. We're going to put a sign in the yard 3 to 4 weeks before it even goes on the market, and I'm going to have it coming soon. And strategically, where I'm allowed, I'm going to put directionals so that the people who are driving home from work can see that there's a coming soon. And we're going to be getting calls on them. And I can guarantee you, Tim, that I'm going to be following up with those folks within 2 hours after hearing from them, and possibly a whole lot sooner. I want to capture their interest and find out if they what they're looking for, and see if your home can be a real good fit for them. Open house program. So, Tim, what I have found is that open houses are now selling homes. Years ago, it used to be a way where people would just try and pick up buyers, but they're actually selling houses now through them. So I believe in a very strong open house strategy. I do Saturday and Sunday, and I do 1 to 3 o'clock on both days. There's going to be an aggressive door knocking campaign the week before you go on the market. I'm going to door knock on 40 houses right around there and tell the neighbors, who do you know that's looking to move? And give them an opportunity to bring a prospective buyer. On the following weekends, we'll consult with you, okay? If we had a really good Saturday and Sunday program and the house is not under contract by then we'll go back the next weekend and we'll assess on Tuesday whether we're going to do another open house on Saturday and or Sunday. Tim, there's a couple of other things that we'll do for you. The buyer who is looking at homes generally starts their search online. If you do not capture their interest online, they're not coming in. They're not going to come and see your house. So I hire a professional photographer. I don't use a cell phone. I don't take this process lightly. I bring in a professional photographer. They don't use a wide angle lens. They don't use a fisheye. It's just a legitimate, great picture, and they pull in as much light as possible. And here's an example of some of the pictures that have been taken with this photographer. Can you see how beautiful that is? Like the hardwoods are gleaming there. It's just very bright and cheery, nicely staged house. But you know, this type of stuff, this matters. And the buyer sees this and they say, you know what, I want to go see that house. The next thing that I do, if your house is occupied, I will provide a complimentary staging consultation. I will bring my stager in / interior designer, and she will walk through, and she will give you a detailed report afterwards on what you should do to really maximize. She's fantastic. We've worked together for several years, and she has really helped accomplish a lot for my clients. I have connection to professional service providers. So if there's going to be some things that you're going to want to do before you go on the market. Every house always has some things, and I have contractors for it. You don't have to go to Angie's List. You don't have to go to Best Pick Reports. I've got them for you. And then I will also provide a complimentary house cleaning before the home goes on the market. So this process that we've put in place has achieved incredible results for our clients. And the goal is that Steve McIllvaine Home Team takes care of all the details so you don't have to worry about anything. Can you see how this process would kind of reduce your concerns as you're just considering leaving and moving and uprooting yourself to Denver, how having this process management can be very helpful to you? Then when we talk about preparing your home for sale, so now you've decided to put your house on the market. Congrats. We hope to make this process an easy one and trust that this information will help answer any questions you have. If you find yourself wondering about something, please ask and we'll be happy to help you find an answer. And we look forward to partnering with you as you prepare to sell your home. This is where you talk about ordering HOA, condo docs. This is where you start gathering information. I have a sheet that is always available where I'm pulling information. Let's see here. This is something that Cheryl put together for me. It basically walks through the listing agreement, and it gathers conveyances, it gathers the as-is items, it gathers the utilities. So this is always right beside me, and as I hear information from them, I'm filling it out. It has on the back here information on what the average utilities are for gas, electric, water. It just walks literally right through it. So this actually makes writing your listing agreement very, very simple. We talk about the projected on market date. So Tim, what would be a perfect date for you to be on the market? April 15th, what you're saying? Okay, so April 15th, and we're going to do photos. We're going to do the photos the week before. I'm taking right now, if I'm getting a lot of yeses, I'm already going for the close, and I'm now getting him to agree to things. So Tim, you saw that we're going to do the photography. We're going to do the house cleaning. We're going to get all this great coming soon going. So if you want to be on the market April the 15th, then 2 to 3 weeks before, we're going to put this great campaign together and really start working for you. And the photos are going to be the Monday or the Tuesday of the week that we go live. So if the 15th is a Thursday, then Tuesday the 13th we'll be getting the photos. On Monday, we're going to have the professional house cleaner in here. Your house is going to look gorgeous before we even go on the market. Okay. Well, so this is the new script that I just got yesterday, and I love it. Okay, Tim, thanks for asking me. I was looking forward to talking with you about that, but I'll not only cover the real estate commission but also the other expenses that come with selling a home. Is it okay if we talk about it then? I just want to continue to share with you some of the other things that we're going to do for you, because I think that's really important. All right, so now you talk about keys, you talk about staging. Now, Tim, once we get those offers rolling in, we need a plan in place for that. And I have the ability I know how to actually figure out with multiple offer situations how to present that to you, how we're going to, when the offers come in, how I'm going to communicate with you on that. Actually, I want to take a step back. So while the home is on the market, it's really important to talk about communication. I said, okay, Tim, what's really important is that while your home is on the market, I want you to feel like you are so important. And one of the ways that we do this is through communication. Every Friday, you are going to get a call from me, okay, that's going to just talk about what's been going on that week. But more importantly, on the following Tuesday, you're going to get a detailed report from me. That detailed report is going to lay out what the agents thought of your home. I'm going to cobble all of the comments from agents. I'm also going to go to all the people who came through your open house and cobble together all of their comments, the good, the bad, and I'm going to send that to you. On top of it, I'm also going to share with you what's new to the market, what also went under contract, and what sold in the last week. That way you constantly know what is actually going on and how you stand in light of the competition. Did you see how that could be helpful for you? Yeah. Okay. It's my communications plan. I don't want you to feel like you're in the dark once you go on the market. You will definitely hear from me at least twice a week. Okay. So there's some instructions here on when your home is on the market, and Tim, don't worry, I'll share this more with you, but I just want you to see here. We're talking about curb appeal. We're talking about how to keep your house tidy, how to not be at home, showing your property in the best light, just some tips here. Then when your house is under contract, we're going to talk about, here's the inspections. There's going to be an appraisal of the property. The purchaser may want to come back through the property to take measurements for furniture. Maybe they have a relative that's in town, and it's normal for this to happen, and we can talk about that at that point. I'll make sure that while you're under contract, that weekly I'm touching base with the lender and making sure that the lender is doing what they're supposed to do. I don't take for granted and leave it up to the buyer's agent to handle that side of the transaction. I'm going to be very proactive in making sure that we're adhering to the deadlines. So that is the personal marketing plan that I have for you, Tim. Do you have any questions about that? Okay. So now, Tim, what I would like to do is just talk to you about the market. Okay. Talk to you about the numbers here. Okay. And so this is where we talk about the 10 vital statistics. I've used this before, but I was reminded yesterday of how important this is. This is a sheet that Joe Nigo provided yesterday, and it talks about the 10 vital stats that everyone must need to know. Okay. The first one is, and I'm just going to walk through this as though I'm going through it with Tim. Tim, in 2018, right now, there's 4 active residential listings in Camelot. Last year, there were 3. The average list price for houses is $650,000. Last year, it was about $640,000. The average sales price is $646,000 versus $630,000 the year before. And I'll go into all this with you, Tim, but I just wanted to, and I'm showing it to him. The average list to sales price ratio is 98 versus 97%. What that's telling us, Tim, is that there was only a 2% discount on the price from when it went on the market to when it actually sold. Okay, they got 98% of what they asked for. Average market time is under 2 weeks. The number of home sales year to date is there's been only 3 houses for sale. Last year there were 2. We're in a very tight housing supply market. It's interesting, Tim. The housing supply right now is the exact same as 1994. But what's interesting about that is there's actually 65 million more people that are here today than were not here in 1994. So we have a shortage. And that leads to the next thing is the month supply. There's a 1.5 month supply of houses right now in Camelot. And what that means is that if nothing else hits the market, that all the houses that are on the market right now will come off the market in 1.5 months. And anything under 3 months is a very hot seller's market. So we're in a really good position right now. And then lastly is with the appreciation, we've been seeing a steady appreciation of about 3%. Okay, the last one is the number of expired listings. And what that means, there's been 4 houses that have come on the market and have expired recently, and last year there were 5. Well, why is that important? That means that someone decided to make the decision to sell their house and the agent couldn't get it done for them. And we need to look at those expireds and figure out why. All right, then you print your CMA. And the main page that I focus on is the market statistics detail. I'm going to leave this with them when I leave. And I have notes. So one thing that you really should do is preview anything that's active on the market right around that listing, and show them those things. Hey, Tim, so Sky Hill Road is listed for $865,000. I've been through that house. I looked at it, and here are the positives of it, and here are the drawbacks of it. Have you seen that house? Have you seen it online? No? Okay. Then I talk about the contracts and then the solds. And for each of them, I'm talking about what are the positives and what are the drawbacks. Naturally, we want to make sure that your home is selling as fast as possible for the price, the best price possible. And Tim, it's the same thing as when you are selecting a car. Okay, you go to a dealership, and if one car is not offering the leather trim package and the other one is offering the base cushion, okay, and it's the same price, which one are you going to choose? The one with the upgraded package, right? Well, that's the same thing with the buyers. The buyers, when they're walking through houses, they're going to look and they're going to say, okay, this one has a renovated kitchen. This one has stainless steel appliances. This one has a Trex decking, versus another one that has a splintered wood deck, has white appliances, has laminate countertops, right? So we want to make sure that your home is the one that buyers are choosing. So I'm walking through all that, and then I'm saying that based off of what I see, and I will run a more detailed analysis now that I've been through your home. But what I see is that the range for selling your home is X to X, okay? And I should have a good idea already on what they feel about that based off of the conversation that we had during the pre-listing consultation, okay? And if there's any pricing objections, I have scripts to combat that. Okay, so any questions on that? Now what I want to do is I just want to walk through the listing agreement, and I sent this to you the other day. Have you had a chance to review it? Okay, so I'll just highlight the key things here. Terms of the agreement, the conveyances. I just, kind of filling this whole thing out. A lot of it I already have. And Tim, so can you see how all of these services that the Steve McIllvaine Home Team is going to help you and help you achieve your goal of getting to Denver by the end of the school year? Are you excited to get started on this? Yes? Great. So what we'll do is we're just going to talk through the final steps here. My commission, the compensation is 6%, and that is split between the buyer and the seller. So the buyer's agent gets 3%, and the listing agent brokerage gets 3%. And so on top of that, you're looking at about 1.5% extra in closing costs. So a total of 7.5% is what you can approximately expect to pay when it comes time to when we get to the settlement date. And let's see here. So, and then Tim, we just got a couple other things to fill out with the Property Owners Association. And so I'm ready to go to work for you today. Are you ready to put me to work and get you to sign? Not sign, get you to, yeah, she distracted me. What's that, Reba?
What do you do when they start asking you about discount commission price?
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
What do you do when they start asking you about discount commission prices?
Reba, thanks for asking me. I know that's very important. You certainly want to get the best price, right, for your house. And I mentioned to you before that my average list to sales price is 98, 99%, when the average in Northern Virginia is 97%. So I'm already getting you 1 to 1.5% more. The average days on market for as I shared with you, is 15 days, and mine is 7 days. I mean, that's not a big difference there, but the thing is, I'm getting you more money, and I'm getting it done in a faster time frame. And the services that I provide, 6% is my number. And the reason why is that with all the services that I'm providing, all that marketing, all that value that I'm providing, it costs me a lot to get it to do that. And when you then what you do is you take the dollar bill out or a business card out. So let me talk to you about how it actually works. So here's a card, okay? And I'm going to rip it in half now. That 3% is gone. It's going to the buyer's broker, okay? Now I'm left with that 3%. Well, Uncle Sam wants his portion of it. So he's going to take about 30 to 35% of that. So now you rip off a third. And then my brokerage, because I'm with Keller Williams Realty, and every agent can't be on their own. They have to be linked up with a brokerage. They're going to take their 1/3. Now that leaves the last 1/3, and that's where all that great marketing comes in. I'm going to bring that professional house cleaning. I'm going to bring that professional photographer. We're going to have those great flyers. We're going to do all that coming soon marketing. We're going to bring in the professional house cleaner. And so all of that comes out, and then the rest is what I actually live off of. And so that's why, my compensation is 6%. Can you see the value in it and why? Okay.
What can you say is a unique agent when you don't have stats about
Use the office.
Handle down the price that fast, how are you going to respond to other people trying to get price? If you can negotiate the commission, how are you going to negotiate it?
I think that, who do we have on here? Andy, Carmen, Gary, Lou, and Veronique. Voice terrible again, Gary. Whose voice, Gary? I don't know. Okay. If you can hand the microphone. Actually, you know what? Just say the question, and then I'll repeat it.
Okay, so some agents say that we can presentation when you 3 steps or 2 steps, but we do it one time and then people went through the whole thing one time.
I don't.
Meaning that some people would come back or send a listing agreement to sign the time.
I'm going for it right there,
Right there.
and the price is to be determined by email, because there are repairs that need to be made, and I'm going to leave and I'm going to go back and prepare a list of suggested, necessary, and nice to have repairs. And it's honestly, when you should have been able to generate enough trust with them that they now know that you know what you're doing, and you're going to say to them, hey, now this is what's going to happen next. And I'm going to go back to my office, and I'm going to take into account now that I've walked through your house and look at the competition and look at your goals, and then say, okay, these are the repairs that you should make. These are the ones that would be nice to do. But I'm going for it on that appointment. Why not? If you've built a rapport and you're getting agreement from the person, why not?
One more thing. Do you propose before inspection, before putting on the market for the
The only ways, the question was, do you do a pre-listing home inspection? Almost never. The only time that I would possibly consider that is if you're not listing a house as is, they don't want to list it as is, then you probably, and there's a lot of disrepair, it might be smart to do it. I understand that walking through the house by yourself is faster, but I find that doing it with the seller is a great way to bond with them. I agree. It truly is. It's a great question. Who is this? Who said that? Who asked that? Okay, I don't know. If somebody sees that pop up. When they're filling out the features of the home and the community, to me, I'm going to bond over that. That's why you don't brush it off. It's just, I have found that when I am walking through the home with the buyer or with the seller, it can take a long time. I don't think that there's a right or a wrong answer on it, but I think that having that sheet and reinforcing what they said, you form that bond. And you're also getting from them the information that's going to help you populate the listing when you think about it. So when you've got 400 characters to work with and coming soon marketing and all that, you want to have, you really want to get the mentality of that seller in all of your marketing that goes out there. So I think that's.
I went on a listing appointment with another agent and they took pictures of the previous home.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went back and based on those pictures figured out a should be, could be listed for instance. So do you recommend taking pictures?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's I actually take a video, but you ask for permission. You don't just take pictures. Yes, when I'm walking through, that's one of my points. I say, while I'm walking through, would it be all right if I take some pictures and a quick video? Because it'll help me better represent you. Always make it about them, not yourself.
My question was, the listing rate itself, do you go over the full entire thing, or just send it ahead of time, and maybe if they don't have questions, just highlight?
My hope is that they read it and answer questions, but yes, I mean, we really have a responsibility to go through it with them. But I'm not going to read it line by line. I'm going to highlight the key things. And then, if they're comfortable with what they heard, then ask them to sign. I have a lot of it pre-filled. So in .loop, you can do templates, and I have my own listing template, and I fill out all the brokerage information. I'll look into the tax record, and I'll look at a past sale, and I'll be able to figure out a lot of the things. So the whole, this whole bottom middle column, hot tub, intercom, playground equipment, pool equipment, wall oven, water treatment, window AC, it's pretty likely that they're not going to have these things. So all of those things are pre-filled, but I will actually look at the past. You always want to look at the past sale anyway, because you can find out some of the improvements that were made prior. Okay, that way when you're going there, you know that the HVAC was replaced in 2005, and you can get verification on that, because they don't know that stuff right most of the time. But yes, we do have a responsibility to go through this, that they understand it, and it takes a while.
I've had to read like every single section of the time. That's why I asked that number they want to do, leave it out or highlight, because I tried to highlight the gap so much that it's full there.
My goal is to get in and out in an hour and 15 minutes. And so if the people, when you're working by referral and the people trust you, they sometimes will just say, show me where to sign. If you meet someone at an open house, and you may have to read the whole thing to them. It all depends.
But that's what you mail out to them, right, with a free listing packet. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I'm laying out I'm actually putting in, I'm torn on this about the compensation. I'm really torn on that part, because we are in a very discount oriented environment. And if you just give this to them with the commission laid out, it can be a total disadvantage. So I tend to put just a blank listing agreement in there, because you got to build up your value. And Samson and all these other companies, they'll say, we're a full service listing company. But then you find out that those people are still paying taxes. Those people are still paying money to the brokerage. And they're still finding money to live off of. And this is true. They're not going to discount what's going to go into their pocket. They're generally going to discount what type of marketing they do. Unless it's like a company like Redfin, where they have massive resources at their disposal, where there's things like everything that we do, we have to pay for. I think in some of these discount brokerages, they have economies of scale, and they provide some marketing to them. And that's how they're able to keep some of their costs down. But yeah, Chris.
So I'm just curious, where do you find that the open houses actually sell that house?
Well, I could tell you just in my own experience,
Okay.
I've had a lot of houses sell during an open house. Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel as and for my experience, that's absolutely true. Buy when you want to do their furniture in space, and that's what keeps.
Let's keep the, just because people can't hear it, but what, yeah, so you could share that. Just we want people to be able to hear.
I was just saying that from my experience, having a buyer purchase from the open houses, when the signals that they give about they're placing their furniture and so on in the house, that has been a key. And then shortly after, you hear the agent or they're saying that they're ready to make an offer. I've had that happen, so it does sell at open house.
Any other questions? Preparation matters. You don't wing it. You've got to know what the heck you're going to present. Have your folders ready to go. The pre-listing is huge. It knocks down so many barriers before you even get in the door. Ask them that one question: what are the 3 things that you expect from a realtor? Oh my gosh, it totally sets you up for success on the appointment. Because if you pay attention to that one question and you now know their motivation and you're bringing up the motivation throughout and you're bringing up those points in a genuine way, they feel heard. And they don't even know that they told you how to answer. They don't even know that they gave you the playbook. Yes. Microphone.
Right top to the left. Thanks. Previous sales job. Push the button hard till green light goes.
Hi there. In other jobs, I would say, ask my buyer, I'd say, how are you going to measure success? Right? What does success look like to you? And it's not just the sale of the home, it's like the whole thing. So it's another way to phrase it. I heard it on the phone, but can you go back to your Dear Seller letter?
Sure.
And how are you displaying that? Are you like framing that on the counter, or what does that look like?
I've seen it, and I've seen agents use it, and they have it branded with all of their info on it. I don't. Dear buyer letter, yeah, because I do it on the buyer and seller side, just different goals. I have them write. I do it after the photography session is complete, or the house cleaning, whatever one. I don't want to distract them. There is so much work that a seller has to do to get a house ready to go on the market. If you complicate their lives, it's not smart. And so I wait until the house cleaning is done, and I say, hey, guess what? Your work is done. We're putting the lockbox on Thursday. We're going to be on the market. Here's the last thing that I need from you. You to just put together that 2-paragraph dear buyer letter. And then I share with them the 10 features that they put together about their house and about their community. And I say, here, can you just put this together in paragraph form? Yeah. Anybody else?
And then you're displaying that like on the counter or what?
Yeah, there's 4 things. There's 4 things that are there. The MLS sheet, the finance sheet, the dear buyer letter, and then the brochure. I also will have information for writing an offer. So I got this from a mega agent. By the way, just this aside, whenever you are in a transaction with a really good agent, hey, really close attention to their systems. Why not, right? They have spent years developing stuff. One thing I learned as a project manager is there is no origination out there. It is duplication and repetition. So no need to reinvent the wheel. I got this one time and it was brilliant, and it lays out what they want the offer to look like. So if the seller needs a 60-day rent back, you put that in there. If you know that, I don't know, if there's anything else that's really important that needs to be communicated, but then you put the conveyances in there. It drives me crazy when I'm representing a buyer and we're writing an offer and I'm trying to track down the freaking conveyances and trying to track down the residential property disclosure. So it's all laid out. So you've got the information that's really pertinent, the seller's names, the address, the tax ID, all of my contact info, because very few agents fill out page 16. They just leave it blank. I always fill that out. I always go onto D4 and pull the other agent's license number, the brokerage's license number, because I want as complete of an offer as possible, and I want it to be so tight that there's going to be other agents that are going to submit an offer that are not going to be as detailed as mine, and I'm going to win. And when I'm representing a seller and I get a haphazard looking offer, it doesn't give me confidence talking to the seller about the buyer's offer. But when you're filling out that info, it just, you're making it easy for them. And now you're making it very easy for you to accept the other person's offer, because you're not redlining and crossing through so much stuff. You've got the conveyances in there, you've got the residential property disclosure, and the other side is feeling really confident that, wow, this agent's got it together. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, just to clarify, so you've got a stable group of papers, because the D4 is one, my conveyance sheet is another, my neighborhood covenant is another, it's a blah, blah, right? So it's all that together.
Yeah, I haven't figured out how to take the residential property and include it in there. I don't have a PDF splitter.
You put them all in your MLS listing as well?
Other documents, upload them. So it's normally two. It's the first one is the information, and then the conveyances are in that. And then there's a separate residential property one, D4.
Or if you have a flat.
Yeah.
So when you're reviewing offers and normally in this, okay, so in this market.
Since we're in a competitive market situation, how do you review the offers? I mean, well, how do you disclose do you find it helpful if you disclose the price, like with the offer price that you have on hand with the other agents? Or are you kind of like just write your best and final?
Yeah, great question.
It's a great question.
Wait, what was the question again? I'm sorry.
Basically, how do you disclose other offers, and how do you handle multiple offers? The way I handle multiple offers, you have to deliver the contract in a very timely manner. You cannot withhold a contract from someone. What I do is, instead of asking them to go review 30 pages, I have an Excel spreadsheet called Comparing Offers, and it's offer 1, it's offer 2, it's offer 3, and it lays out the key aspects: the sales price, the seller concessions. The things that actually cost dollars is the top set. So the sales price, the seller concessions, the pest inspection, the home warranty, and it comes to a net price. Underneath it, I have the terms and financing type, conventional, FHA, percent down payment, EMD, settlement date. And I go in order of importance. You start with the price because the price is what matters the most to the seller. And then you work through the terms. The good thing about it is when you have a multiple offer situation, you can start peeling back on things. There's certain things that you can't peel back on. In Woodbridge, for example, there's a lot of people who they'll escalate well above asking price, okay? Because they know when it comes time for appraisal, it's not going to work out, okay? And they only can do, a lot of people are VA, so I'm saying Woodbridge because it's in between Fort Belvoir and it's between Quantico. So you got a lot of military people who are using VA financing, and they're either doing 0% down or they're doing a 3% down, okay? And when you have when you're comparing offers and you've got the power on your side, then you can say, look, now instead of home inspection with negotiating out repairs, are you guys willing to do home inspection for informational purposes? You've got to have a real conversation with your seller and make sure that you're representing their interests. But it's up to you also to really gauge where you're at with things. There was an instance where I had, okay, so today I just put a house on the market this morning, and we're up to 12 showings right now between now and tomorrow. An agent called me. I could be pretty stinking confident now that that house is going to go under contract. So I'm going to take a different tact than I would with my Springfield listing that probably half of you have held in this room. It was, we priced it pretty high, but it was because of the kitchen, a huge bump out. And I knew that it was going to take a little bit longer. And so with that type of situation, I was not being overly cocky, okay? Even though there was one offer that came in, it was a little lower. You take a different approach. You got to really feel out where do you stand. It's kind of a walk around with your question, but you really have to know where you stand. You could really look foolish if you say best and final price by Sunday at 5 p.m. and now you're only sitting on one offer. You know, you really gotta predict what's going to happen. Oh, that's for your question. If someone is, again, you always have to talk to your seller about it and you advise them. But if someone is, let's say your list price is $650 and someone's coming in at $675, why not? Right? Because you're trying to get the best price for your seller. There are some agents that don't like working with me because with being as a listing agent, my goal is to get the best price for the seller. I am going to play the agents against each other if I can. Yeah.
I just had one multiple where I just said, if you were telling us, and I just said everyone is at or above, well above, and there are escalations.
Yeah.
Right? And I didn't go back and look at some final people just went through and they said, ask the people to offer that, and that's how they.
Right. You have to be very negotiating during that time frame. You can go from a position of strength to a position of weakness extremely fast. I had an example where in the fall, we got an amazing offer, and it had a huge escalation in it. And I did not think it would escalate. It was an as-is property. We needed another offer for that escalation to kick in. And my client was starting to play games with the second person. And I said to them, you are playing with fire right now. That first offer does not matter until we get this second one in writing. And I said, let's get it in writing and then we can work from there. And it was actually, she was flying to Orlando at 5 a.m. And the second person said, I think you're playing games with me. and they were ready to pull out. And I said, hold on. And I said, I said, I've just got to sell her. She's trying to sell her mom's house, and she's just trying to get the best deal for her mom. And I hung up the phone, and I called her back. I woke her up. I said, you need to get up right now and sign this, or you're about to lose this great escalation that won't kick in. So we have to stay cool in the midst of craziness. Why, if we're not cool and have our stuff together, why did the seller or the buyer hire us in the first place? Our job is to maintain that sanity in the midst of a crazy process. One more thing about the Dear Seller letter. I have a script that I use for the purpose of it, and I said that you've got a buyer who is looking at your house, and their chief aim is to get the lowest price and have the seller fix as much as possible in the house. Your goal, Mr. Seller, is to get the highest price and fix nothing during the home inspection process. Can you see how those two aims are completely opposed to each other? This Dear Seller letter, the reason why I call it my secret weapon, it brings humanity into the process. It is a way where the seller can communicate their love for the home, and the buyer receives that and says, oh, they realize that this is a person and not just a transaction.
It varies because I have a situation where the seller did that, saying how she was from that this was her original home.
This was the sellers. I had a situation where the sellers wrote and said this was her original home, and she took care of it over the years and so on. And the buyer used it during the home inspection and say, well, it's original. She didn't do anything to it, and wanted proof of her taking care of like the HVAC and all that stuff. So it varies.
Yeah, there's
Yes.
been times where I haven't used a Dear Buyer letter because it wasn't beneficial. But in a lot of cases it is. And you just got to run it through a filter. You know, all of these things, thinking rationally and thinking what's in the best interest of your client. Robert, you've been quiet back there. Anything? Okay. Anything from Andy, Carmen, Gary, Lou, Veronique? Yeah, Tim.
How did you prepare for your first listing? Did you shadow other agents and?
I talked to John Walker. I talked to Doug Elliott and Randy Becker. I said, I need help. And you know what? You fail forward. So I used the stuff that was available to me. And the stuff that I had back then, I wouldn't use now. But I still got the listing. A lot of people, and I'm guilty of this right now, I'm trying to perfect my cover letter for my mailing that goes out. And instead of just putting something together and improving upon it, I overthink things. And I think we all can get caught being stuck in lack of motion because we don't have the A+ presentation. A lot of times you don't need the A+ presentation, you just need the A+ confidence going in there. Thanks, Veronique. Okay. Thanks, everybody. You not in this?
Just X out of everything.